Our next speaker is Noah Davidson and Stacy Maddox.
Overhead projector, please. Hello, Council. Thank you for hearing my presentation. I'm going to read the introduction to the International Appeal to Stop 5G on Earth and in Space. This appeal has been signed by over 100,000 people, including hundreds of doctors, scientists, and other experts in relevant fields. The introduction states, "We, the undersigned scientists, doctors, environmental organizations, and citizens from 187 countries urgently call for the halt of the deployment of the 5G fifth-generation wireless network, including 5G from space satellites. 5G will massively increase exposure to radio frequency radiation on top of the 2G, 3G, and 4G networks for telecommunications already in place. RF radiation has been proven harmful for humans and the environment. The deployment of 5G constitutes an experiment on humanity and the environment that is defined as a crime under international law. Obviously, there is a tremendous global concern about the safety of 5G, and we are on the very front lines of this experiment. I have a group of people here with me today that are also concerned about 5G in their neighborhoods next to their homes. We were not informed about the installation of these antennas or the safety risks. These antennas are being installed without our permission, without any warning at all. Many of us do not want to be guinea pigs in this experiment, but we apparently have no say in the matter. How can the city possibly justify exposing us to this risk against our will?" Would anyone like to respond?
We take your public comment, we listen. I'm going to direct the city manager and the city attorney to please give us a report back on the implementation of 5G and some of the concerns raised by the residents here tonight.
I raised this concern months ago, and supposedly those staff members have already looked into the matter. I'm asking if any of you have done research into this topic and are willing to respond about the safety
It's not
concerns.
the appropriate venue. You give the comment, and we take it in and listen, but this is not agendized for the public, and this cannot be debated by the city council. Thank you for your comments.
You're not willing to respond. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stacy Maddox, then Abigail McMahon.
Hi.
Hi.
To follow up, I've been following some regular posts on our local next door by my neighbor, Noah. I'm not usually excitable, and I usually tend to dismiss a lot of this information overload, and there's very few facts going around. And so, but I dug into this one because I'm curious, and it turns out there really is something to this 5G. I encourage you, really encourage you to look into it a bit. We have tons of information. If you want access to it, we can certainly give it to you. These are reputable, sound references. These aren't blog posts. This is nothing nutty. The threat is real. And every week I become more concerned and convinced of the urgency as I see there are cities and countries, scientific organizations, real scientists speaking out and demanding that we use caution and get some research before we implement this. We, of course, already have. Necessary for this 5G to perform is needed. It requires many, many more antennas. One for every 11 houses. Every 500 feet, you have to have another antenna. And the radiation is actually much higher than they are even supposed to be. My neighbor used his own hard-earned money, and he hired a radiation engineer who actually measured the amount of radiation coming off of that antenna into his home, and it's outrageous. And it was a shock to everyone concerned that the radiation off that one tower is more than they took out that tower in Ripon for the school. This is even higher, every 11 houses. So I'm willing actually to give the city council, the city of Sacramento, kind of a pass on making this deal with Verizon. We wanted to be a test city. We wanted that distinction, but we now have more information than we had before. And I encourage you to look into it and at the very least, turn these towers off, turn the antennas off, disable them until we have all the information. Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Abigail McMahon. I have 10 more speakers tonight: Abigail McMahon, then Hannah McMahon, and Aaron McMahon. How about a wireless microphone?
Lady, if you want to come right this way so we can see you as well, that would be great. There you go. Welcome to you.
Hello, my name is Abigail McMahon. I am here to talk about the cell antennas in my front yard. I can no longer sleep in my own room because of it. Please move the cell antenna so our lives can go back to normal again. Thank you.
Thank you for coming here tonight to talk to your elected representatives. This is your place. You're always welcome to come here and tell us what you think.
Our next speaker is Hannah McMahon, then Aaron McMahon.
Sorry. It's my little girl, so I'm a little choked up. In late December, Verizon installed a very powerful cell antenna right outside my daughter's window. About a month after the antenna was installed, both my daughters came down with cold and flu-like symptoms. Another month passed, and my daughters were still ill. We began to wonder if the recently installed antennas could be affecting their health. My brother Noah, who is a scientist in the family, began researching the safety of cell antennas and the radiation that they emit. He found hundreds of studies and experts warning about the dangers of wireless radiation, including immune system suppression, which I believe my daughters have suffered, and cancer, one of the diseases we all fear the most. He's also found that guidelines designed to protect us from this wireless radiation are based on the outdated assumption that the only biological effect caused by wireless radiation is heating. More recent research, particularly research looking at long-term chronic exposure, like we are being subjected to by this antenna, has disproven this outdated assumption. Every single day we wonder if we are being harmed by Verizon antennas, if our DNA is being changed, if our children will get cancer because of the antenna. It is a terrible way to live, and it has been inflicted upon us against our will. We have put up metal shielding in our home that helps to reduce our exposure, but it is still very high. About a week after we installed the shielding, and 2 months into their illness, my daughter's symptoms went away. To me, this is just more evidence that we have been harmed by Verizon's antenna. We are asking you today to do more to help us get this antenna turned off. Thank you.
Aaron McMahon.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Aaron McMahon. As you all know by now, my family owns a home. I'm coming to speak tonight again about the 5G expansion project in the city of Sacramento, as well as the antenna that was installed in front of my house on light pole. Basically, I'm here tonight because we are about 4 months in this process, and we have still not gotten any of our answers. We have corresponded with the FCC. We have corresponded with the city of Sacramento. We have corresponded with Verizon. U.S. Congresswoman Matsui. A lot of these places are starting to shut down and not even correspond with us anymore, and we're just at a loss. We do not know what to do anymore. We're talking about putting my house, my dream house that I worked very hard to get, my family's dream house, my wife's dream house, on the market because we do not feel it is safe for our children. I assume that the majority of you, if not all of you, are parents, and I just really would like to know what you would do in my situation. To say this process has been frustrating would be a huge understatement. I've grown up in the city my whole life. I was born at Kaiser South in 1980, and I've always been proud of the city of Sacramento and proud of our government, I've lost faith in the last 4 months with this process. I just don't understand how this is okay. As elected city officials, is it not one of your primary responsibilities to protect the health and well-being of your constituents? We've gotten the runaround from absolutely everyone involved, and still none of our questions have been answered. Again, the FCC has stopped corresponding with us. Verizon, their corporate attorney, reached out to us last week and basically told us good luck.
Your time is up, but I want to take a moment here. You and your wife, I think, have given very important testimony. I want to ask the city manager and the city attorney, in terms of getting answers to our constituents, what can we tell them tonight in terms of a timeline, in terms of whether or not how we are looking into these questions and how we might get back to them?
Mayor, at the request of Councilmember Jennings' office, my office started to do some research and started to work with city staff. I know the city manager has his staff, Maria McGonigal, the IT director, looking at this issue. We've been actively actually working on this for about a couple of weeks. The city of Sacramento has a limited role to play. We're trying to define exactly what the city could be able to step in. It's true, the FCC, I saw the emails, has pretty much blown this family off. So that's what we're looking at, and that's what I'll be working with my colleague, the city manager, to give some recommendations to the council.
Okay, I appreciate that. So we hear you, and it's our obligation to get back to you. I'm not telling you what the conclusion is going to be. You're making some claims which about the health impacts of 5G. We owe you at least an explanation and our point of view on the claim that you're making, and we will endeavor to ensure that we get back to you with a transparent answer to some of the questions that you have raised. Okay? Thank you.
Next speaker is Sherry Lynn, then Donna Steele, then Judy Mitchner.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for sitting for such a long time.
Oh, this is short.
Pardon?
This is short.
Is it? Oh, good. Mine's short, too, and obviously I'm in red, so I'm with everybody who are talking about the 5G. And Mr. Jennings, I just wanted to thank you for sharing your joy about your grandchildren watching the TV and seeing you. You're a grandfather. I'm a grandmother, but I'm a concerned grandmother. And I said I wasn't going to cry, so I'll just read what I have here. Okay, I'm a grandmother. I'm a concerned grandmother. This year, Verizon installed a 5G cell antenna on a light pole outside of my granddaughter's bedroom window. The light pole is the property of the city of Sacramento. One of 5 cities, apparently, that I've just found out because I'm doing research on 5G myself. I knew nothing about it months ago, but when I went to visit my grandchildren, there was this box right on that pole. And so I got online, I started Googling things, and here I am. And I'm not a public speaker, but I'm here to support and to ask you all, if you can find it within your heart to somehow, just imagine if it was your granddaughter. Abigail's my granddaughter. Aaron's my son. Hannah's my lovely daughter-in-law. Okay? And all I'm asking is, it's all about the wireless radiation. I've done my research, and it appears to me that telecommunication companies who are profit-motivated aren't talking or listening to public health research and scientists or physicians who for several years have been warning us of the negative health effects associated with exposure to RF radiation. And children, oh, I'm sorry.
Your comments, your 2 minutes is complete.
No, but thank you for coming to City Hall, and
thanks for listening.
We've taken in your message. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Donna Steele, then Judy Mitchner.
I am Donna Steele. 5G is a form of radiation. Experts in this field have called it an extinction-level event. That's what they called Fukushima, too. My son-in-law was a fisherman. He went out on his big boat, and the last time he went out, there were no fish. That's extinction level. That means everything dies. The FCC has said that there's no testing done on 5G. There's experts in these fields, Loren Murray, Michio Kaku. If you're not familiar with these people, I suggest you get familiar with them, because they're world-renowned physicists who will tell you 5G is murder. That's what it is. There was a test done in the Netherlands on this. All the birds died. They just dropped out of the trees. I called Matsui's office. They offered no comment on this. The mayor's office, the person I spoke to in the mayor's office said that opposition to 5G was junk science. Quote. There are exclusion zones. There are places where 5G is not being installed. One of those places is Mar-a-Lago. You guys know what Mar-a-Lago is, don't you? That's Trump's really nice estate in Florida. He doesn't have to have them. Another place is Mill Valley. The whole town just voted not to. I used to live in Mill Valley. Smart, organized people. They're not going to have it, apparently. The entire nation of Israel is exempt. They don't have to have 5G, although they pushed it on the rest of the world. These exclusion zones are allowed because they're organized. I can produce a huge bibliography of the tests and the truth and the slow deaths and the brain tumors that are known to be caused by 5G.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our next speaker is Judy Mitchner, then Cindy Lee.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you for hearing us today. Health is, I'm speaking on 5G also. I have a little bit of red, didn't have a shirt. Health is by no means the number one concern here. However, I hope that Aaron and Hannah don't have to sell their home. And with that respect, I'm going to talk about property values. The reduction in property values and saleability for homes near cell antennas has been well documented by the realtor industry. A survey conducted by the National Institute for Science, Law, and Public Policy showed that 94% of respondents are less interested and would pay less for a property located near a cell tower or antenna. Even more distressing, 79% said that under no circumstances would they ever purchase or rent a property within a few blocks of cell towers or antennas. With the vast number of antennas being installed throughout our neighborhood, many of us are going to face these economic repercussions. Some of us that have already had antennas installed near our homes are considering selling our homes to avoid health risks. Will we even be able to do so with a potentially dangerous antenna 5 feet from our property? These specific issues regarding property values have not been addressed at all by Verizon, the FCC, or the City of Sacramento. How can the city possibly justify taking money directly out of our pockets when we've already told you we do not want these antennas near our homes? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Cindy Lee. Next speaker is Cindy Lee, then Holly Mursky, then Pamela Marquez.
Good evening, Council. My name is Cindy Lee. Thank you for listening to my presentation. One of the primary concerns related to 5G is that it will utilize a significantly higher energy frequency of electromagnetic radiation than previous generations of wireless technology. This new frequency is what will allow for the much faster speeds 5G will bring. However, because this technology is so new, the long-term health effects of this specific frequency of radiation are completely unstudied and therefore completely unknown. In February, Senator Richard Blumenfeld Blumenthal, exposed this lack of research at U.S. Senate Commerce hearing. From the small amount of research that has been done on 5G frequencies, these frequencies have been shown to interact with human skin in a completely different way than previous generations of wireless technology. Specifically, a group of researchers in Israel have found that human sweat ducts act as a helical antenna for these higher frequencies of radiation, leading to greater absorption of these frequencies. The implications of this new interaction are completely unknown, and current safety standards do not take these factors into account. As a result of these findings, the researchers stated, quote, "We are raising a warning flag against the unrestricted use of sub-terahertz technologies for communication before the possible consequences of public health are explored." To me, this is just another red flag.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Holly Mursky, Pamela Marquez, and then Rourke Vane is our final speaker.
Hello, everyone. My name is Holly Mursky, and I'm also speaking on 5G. Those of us that have expressed concern over the antennas that have popped up all over the pocket area have all received the same generic response, that the antennas are compliant with the FCC guidelines and the FCC guidelines are safe. The main criticism of the FCC guidelines among the scientific community is that the exposure limits are based on a thermal model for damage. This means that the radiation is not strong enough to raise your core temperature. It is assumed safe, which is not the case. Any other potential mechanism for harm is ignored. If non-thermal levels of RF radiation negatively affect our brain function, your cell function, or any other function of your body, it is not being considered by the FCC limits. Simple interpretations: if it's not cooking you, it's safe, which we've seen in schools in Canada and such, where children have had heart attacks and died of heart attacks because of the radiation, the Wi-Fi that they put into the schools that was so much. The means of our safety, the safety of future generations, and the safety of all biological life exposed to these antennas rest on the assumption that the only way RF radiation can cause harm is by heating up the tissue. Many scientists and medical professionals are extremely uncomfortable with that assumption. So am I. Hundreds of studies have already demonstrated biological effects from non-thermal levels of exposure. The article from The Lancet explicitly states prevention of tissue heating by radiofrequency electromagnetic radiation is now proven to be ineffective in providing biological and physiological interference. For some reasons, the FCC refuses to acknowledge that these studies are relevant despite the concerns raised by the scientific community. Another criticism of the FCC guidelines is that the way they were developed over 20 years ago and are based on the research that is even older than that. Many of the studies used to develop these guidelines evaluate a very short time, minutes or hours.
Your comments, your time is complete.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next speaker is Pamela Marquez. Pamela Marquez, and then Rourke Vane is our final speaker.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Rick Jennings, I wanted to just give a shout out to your little grandbabies. Be very proud of them, and God bless them. In 2011, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, part of the World Health Organization, classified, I forgot to put this down, classified radio frequency radiation, the type of radiation emitted by cell phones and cell antennas, as possibly carcinogenic to humans. One study referenced a 40% increase risk for gliomas, which is a type of malignant brain cancer for heavy cell phone users, classified as 30 minutes per day over a 10-year period. People with antennas very close to their home will be exposed to significantly higher levels of radiation whenever they are home, potentially 24/7. We do not want to live near something that can potentially give us cancer. When it comes to cell phones and wireless routers, we have the choice of whether or not we want to expose ourselves to that risk. With these antennas, we have no choice. The antennas are being installed without permission, without warning, and there is apparently nothing we can do about it. We must either accept the risks and reduction in property values or be forced out of our homes. This cannot possibly be what the City Council has envisioned for its constituency. We are asking you today to take actions on behalf of those who do not want these antennas near our homes and give us some recourse for having them removed or preventing them from being installed in the first place. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker, and Rourke Vane is our next speaker.
Well, good evening, council members. I'm an ex-IT manager, and one of my responsibilities, in fact, two of my responsibilities for rolling out networks statewide were to pay attention to getting the networks done on time and to take care of my customers, the clients that we had out there. I had to do accommodations for them, including low vision aid, ergonomic, low radiation monitors. That was one of my responsibilities too. And I'm asking you people who control the city of Sacramento and what goes on here to take a look at what's going on with the networks that are being installed. In my neighborhood, I've been in Greenhaven for 40 years. We've got these 5G antennas going up, and then we have these new mast antennas that have gone up too, that are hot with 4G. I have an RF meter, and I measured them, and they are really smoking when it comes to the RF energy that's being emitted, and nothing's being done about it. At the same time, I live on Havenside Drive. We've got Comcast coming down the road. They are working on my side of the street, and they're pulling new fiber optic cable. So I'm going to have a fiber optic cable system supposedly drawn to the house so I can have gigahertz speed fiber net connection. But we're not done yet. What about AT&T and MCI? We need to step back. We need to have a moratorium on what's going on and take a look. How is this all being installed? How attractive is it? What's it doing for our property values? Not to mention the health of people, like children. It's really disconcerting to me that we've allowed this to happen in our beautiful city, that we aren't putting any controls on it, and that we aren't trying to take an analytical approach to slowing down and seeing what's going on. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for coming tonight. Thank you. I want to turn it over to Councilmember Jennings for a comment, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to thank everybody who came out tonight to speak their mind as far as how you feel about what's going on, whether it's related to your health or to your grandkids' health or your children's health or to your property values or whatever potential impact that these antennas are having. My commitment to you is that we will not stop communicating with you. I've already heard very clearly that the FCC has and other entities have as well. We will not do that. And so we're going to work together with our IT department to get a better understanding of where we are right now and what answers that we can get back to you. And I would like to say within the next 7 to 10 days, I will schedule a meeting with everyone that you'd like to bring to that meeting in the Greenhaven Pocket community so it can be convenient to everyone to come there. And I'm hoping at that point in time we can bring in the resident experts that can answer the questions that you have, that you've given to us tonight. You okay with that? Okay. So, Mayor, we will work with the city manager and city attorney, and we will work together with our IT department, and then we'll work with the FCC, with Verizon, and get the experts there so we can answer these questions once and for all.
You have a very good council member, a great council member who will make sure
again
that
for coming.
Communicates with you. Okay? Councilman Carr?
Now, we did extensive work on this with SMUD.
Okay.
when we were deploying the smart meters. And they have a data bank of work on the issue. So city manager and city attorney, you might want to start with them so you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay. Members and members of the public, we're going to adjourn this evening in memory of Officer Tara O'Sullivan. Thank you all for coming.